Still looking at me.
And what's going on, Money Gang? It's the Multitasker back into another reaction video, and this is a new requested video, so I'm going to react to top 10 video games that deserves rebooted. It says reboot, so it better just say with the booted, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but you get the idea of what the title is all about. So in the past, we got some games that are so familiar back in the day or back in the 90s, and that it essentially got rebooted, such as Twisted Metal, Ninja Gaiden Sigma, Doom, Mortal Kombat. So it was a nice way of bringing those such memorable titles, making a comeback. And you know, to this day, I did finish all the Ninja Gaiden games, and it's still a little confusing about the whole chronology timeline from the Team Ninja's version and the original. So it's, it's still a little convoluted, but I don't want to drag this out, but you get where I'm going with this, right? But anyways, now I am curious to see what other games that it deserves to be rebooted. So one way to find out is to take a look. Also, I wanted to give a big shout out to Storm Shadow that he requested it for this video. So I am going to do it, and it's that time. So without further ado, it's time to react.
Nowadays, everything is getting the reboot treatment, so why have these classics been left out? Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down the top 10 games that we think deserve to be rebooted. Number 10, Descent. Descent was a genre in and of itself. You flew a ship, but all of the action took place indoors, making it a space sim FPS hybrid. Descent introduced players to dizzying three-dimensional combat in which enemies could not only attack from all sides, but also from above and below. A reintroduction to this unique brand of gameplay would be as refreshing today as it was back in 1995. Number 9, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey.
Yeah.
Oddworld was one of those games that proved that personality goes a long way. While there have been recent attempts to bring players back to Oddworld in spin-offs, in an age where side-scrolling adventures and indie games are making a comeback, the time seems right for a revisit.
I think there was supposed to be a remaster, but
Number
I think
8,
that it didn't came.
I know what you're thinking. Yeah, BioShock is technically the new System Shock, the spiritual successor as it's been called. But let's go back to space, can we? The most recent iteration of BioShock has moved the action outside and given you a companion, taking away the claustrophobic isolation that made System Shock 2 so memorable.
You do not hide forever.
And bring back the RPG elements, we're not dumb.
Are you afraid? What is it you fear? The end of your trivial existence.
Number 7, Turok. Okay, so this series has been rebooted recently, but we're talking about a good reboot. This shouldn't be difficult. Guns, dinosaurs, and explosions. Listen, developers, you have your work cut out for you. No excuses. Number 6, Dune. Okay, so the real-time strategy genre is dying pretty fast. Unless, of course, you count games with the word craft in the title. So maybe a new Dune RTS game wouldn't be the greatest investment for Sandy publishers. Still, there is so much rich lore to draw from Frank Herbert's beloved series, it's a wonder why nobody has tried to make something Dune-themed recently. Who knows? It might spice up the industry.
What's the cult classic to the films? And it did have a TV
Number 5,
series.
Myst. With games like The Journey
Another
and Dear
game I
Esther making
remember
waves in the
when I
indie
had
community,
the-
developers must be thinking that it would be
when I
a
had
great
the
time
Game
for another
Informer.
trip to
I
Myst
never
Island.
played it, but-
Myst is the grandfather of minimalist adventure, a game with no set goal, no real enemies, and no threat of violence or death. Some changes would probably have to be made, though. Did you know that the original Myst shipped with a blank notebook for players to jot down notes? That would admittedly be a tough sell today. Number 4, Outcast. Outcast was more of a cult classic than anything, but it's surprising that nobody has tried to build on the lore that was set in place. Outcast was set in a gorgeous, sprawling, and fascinating world. Many would love another chance to be the stranger in a strange land once again. Number 3, Dark Forces and Jedi Knight. We are very aware that there's an oversaturation of Star Wars games out there. There's no question. But it's been a full generation now. It's time for another true Star Wars FPS. With lightsabers.
The Emperor will be most pleased
Force Unleashed was just God of War except bad, and Battlefronts was a reskinned copy of the Battlefield games. Get Kyle Katarn back in here.
Okay.
Number 2, Heretic and Hexen. Like many entries on this list, Heretic was pretty unique in its time. It was a first-person shooter with no traditional guns per se. A fantasy-based FPS, you ran around with magic staves for weapons instead of shotguns and such. Largely a copy of Doom, Heretic made up for its lack of gameplay innovation with style. Gauntlets that let you shoot green lightning? Think of how cool that was in 1994. Number 1, Wing Commander or Free Space? Remember space combat simulators? Man, it's been a while. We don't really care which franchise it is. We just want some pew-pew in space for old time's sake. Again, this shouldn't be hard. Why isn't this happening?
All vessels return to base. We need to regroup. Get out of there, pilots.
Do you agree or disagree with this list? Which games do you want to see rebooted for the latest generation of gamers and hardware?
Well, the only thing I would like to see to be rebooted personally, and that would be Turok, because again, I used to play it like crazy when I had the N64. I enjoyed it, and at the same time, I wasn't a pro at it when it comes to going to every levels or stages, because I get instantly lost, because the whole the whole screen is just completely so pixelated in the fog light form, because there's no telling what comes out when you go further. If it's gonna be just a mercenary soldier or a dinosaur gonna maul you. And I felt like that it deserves to have to bring that franchise to just come back just for this year, just for some shits and giggles, And yes, there was the sequel that was supposed to be superior than the first one. It was, for me, it felt like a mediocre, but what do I know about that? But other than that, those are very interesting, the games that it deserves. So, best, yes. Turok, yes. And the rest of the other games that I've never played before, because I never was good at the PC games, but that's just me. I'm just more of a home console button masher. That's just me. But other than that, I hope that there will be some plans. But other than that, thank you for this clip, Storm Shadow. And just like him, if you have any requested videos, be sure to leave the links on the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to do so for you. With that said, Mighty Avenger signing out, but I will catch you all in the next video. So take care, guys.